This conference will now be recorded.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, July 2nd. Our weekly supervisors meeting in courthouse. It's available by YouTube also, and recorded for later date if you wish to watch. We have an agenda in front of us. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion and second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approve the minutes of the June 25th meeting.
I'll move to make that motion.
Motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Roll call, Todd.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Sydney.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Mark.
Right? Motion passes. County Attorney, general discussion.
Just a couple things. So I think, so we talked last week about the Kev Hart property, and of course that writ came through, and he's been served and everything, so, which sort of nothing new. I mean, I told you last week I was gonna get that done, so that's done. Took me a couple extra days because I guess the judicial conference was last week, and of course I needed a district judge to sign this, not a magistrate or district associate judge. I needed a district judge, and they were at the judicial conference on vacation. So I just emailed them all at the same time and said, could somebody look at this and do it? So they did. So and I did get the information about the 28E with JCI, the tech and the licenses issue. So I'll take a look at that. I suspect it probably will be something that we'll probably have to, my first draft probably will not be completely correct, just because I'm probably the least educated person on the issues, on those tech issues, but.
They were just numbered items to kind of.
Yep, but we'll put it together and then flesh it out. One thing I was gonna talk about, I mentioned it, I didn't mention it before because I wanted to wait to get to July, and that's, you know, the comp boards as of July 1st, they no longer exist. And to be perfectly frank, that legislation is a little confusing. It's not so much confusing if you read it. It gets confusing when you try and pair it with other things in the law. So I kind of was in different, different state agencies were passing around different guidance articles. So some of you guys probably got the same thing. Maybe we all got the same thing. I don't know. But anyway, so I was kind of waiting for that stuff to come in, and so I guess now I understand it probably maybe as well as anybody, but if not, somebody can straighten me out. But at some point, of course, you couldn't do anything today either way. Anyway, that's on the agenda. But you know, you'll have to give some thought as to whether you want to appoint a comp board. You can. The AG's office and I think ISAC, I may get my people wrong, but they've sent out some sample documents if the Board of Supervisors wants to establish a comp board. That can be done. It can be done anytime. It can be retroactive to like July 1st, although I don't know if it necessarily has to be retroactive to July 1st. If the board's going to do it, you want to do it, you know, before December, you know, whenever that board meets. Probably want to do a little bit, get started on it if that's what you want to do, just so that everybody can get their, you know, appointees. I don't know, this particular, I don't know what to say at this particular legislation, but this idea of getting rid of the comp boards has been floated around at the legislature for a lot of years. I don't know exactly who was always behind it. Sometimes that changed a little bit, but usually it didn't go very far. This year, I think it got packaged in with some other bill and got ran through. However, and I don't claim to be an expert on legislative history, so some of this I'm just putting together in my own mind and filling in blanks, and I might be wrong, but it seems like the version that passed probably isn't the version that the people who are pushing the change, it's probably not the version they wanted. Because there's a lot of nuances in that, but I suppose it gave people who wanted to change a reason, they could say, oh, we got a bill passed, when it probably wasn't really the bill that they wanted, and probably doesn't do what they wanted. One of the key things, though, and I won't drone on about this because we can talk about it a different time, but one of the key things is now there are, whoever does it, whether it's a board of supervisors, whether it's comp board, you have to put together, data, reports. You have to compare it to different counties, different entities, and it's kind of like a formula, somewhat, although not entirely, like has been done with the sheriff and the blue law. It's not quite like that, but kind of similar. So somebody's probably going to have to put a fair amount of work into it. Now, typically, what's probably going to happen, which is probably what happens most of the time, everybody, elected officials are human beings with our own interest and everything else. So, myself included. So, sometimes like when you're giving advice, you're like, okay, so sometimes you have to separate what am I giving legal advice based on good legal reasoning, or at least the best legal reasoning I can do, or are you giving advice based on your own self-interest? Well, you got to be cognizant of the two and try to separate it. And sometimes all you can do is just disclose it and say, well, I recognize I have an interest like everybody else. So, but I still try to be objective and be honest. But what will probably happen is, this is kind of what happens now to different degrees. The elected officials gather information, right? Try to gather information for our position, to show that we're doing the job, we're doing the work. And then a lot of times we'll gather comparables from other counties and provide to the comp, right? Because we want to put our best foot forward and try and advocate for our position. And then, the comp board, does their own little bit of research or ask questions, and a lot of times, the questions are very probing and helps balance out, and they come to a decision. So I suppose probably going forward, that same thing will probably happen. I mean, I'm probably going to gather a bunch of my own data, right? And give it to you. Everybody else will probably do the same thing. Although the responsibility falls on either the comp board or the board of supervisors to put that data, it's really their duty to gather the data, right? But people being interested people will probably gather our data ourselves, right? And say, oh, I'm gonna save you the trouble. I'm gonna give you the data. I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. That's kind of, and then it'll be up to that other board, whether it's you guys or a comp board, to sift through it and say, you know, are you being honest? Are you fudging things? So I don't, in the end, you know, how that's all going to affect different things you have to do. Like it might, I don't know, it might take a year or two to find out. One thing I've thought about, and then I'll wrap this up. You know, and I don't know. I mean, from an elected person standpoint, I don't know that anybody can say, I don't know which is better. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, comp board, board of supervisors, I guess I don't know which better, and it's not my decision, it's you guys' decision. But one thing I've thought about is if I were on a board of supervisors, I don't know that I would want to mess with this. Not because it's so much more work, because I don't know that it necessarily is, but because there's sure going to be, if you have a situation like where I'm on a board of supervisors and I am now with the rest of the board making decisions on financing, salaries, and everything else, and there's no comp board as an intermediate there anymore, one of the things that happens, because it's always going to happen, it always happens, is because the situation is just right for it, whether it's warranted or not, somebody's going to get ticked off somewhere and sue because they're going to say, oh, you know what? Your decision as a board of supervisors was arbitrary and capricious, use whatever language you want to use, and it was based on improper factors because, you know, of policy disagreements or whatever. Now, that doesn't mean they win. You know, county might very well have the upper hand in those legal arguments, but the issue is going to be, is it's always going to be there, right? I mean, I can just see it. I mean, I've done litigation for 27 years. I don't claim to be necessarily the greatest expert at it, but I've had some success at it. And it's one of those things where you look at it and you say, oh, yeah, I can see where this could end up. I mean, it's just a ripe situation for somebody saying, hey, you know what? I'm being discriminated against, not because of race or anything like that, but just because of impermissible factors. So, and then, you know, you're always going to be fighting that battle all the time. And then, you know, you get into whether, okay, if you had those kind of legal expenses, does insurance company pay for those? It's like, I don't know that they would. Comp board, they exist. They're kind of an intermediary, right? So I've never really heard, I'm not saying it doesn't happen or couldn't happen, but I've never really heard of anybody going after a comp board legally, because that would be pretty hard to do, right? Because it's like, well, they're just a group of disinterested but educated, informed citizens. Everybody, you know, and each office gets to put somebody on there, and so the representation is fair, and they're independent and they're unbiased, and so it would be hard to say to them, oh, you guys are screwing me on purpose, right? Because they're a disinterested board to start with. So I don't know how all these things necessarily play out in my head. I'm just telling you my thoughts. Now, of course, as a board of supervisors, either way, you have a certain thumbs up, thumbs down vote under the old setup or the new setup. Just the mechanics a little bit different. So I didn't bring that up with the intent of necessarily providing what I think are answers. And of course, they're not my answers to give. You got to decide. You don't have to do it today. You don't have to do anything. If you do nothing, then the burden just falls on you guys. So, something to think about. If you decide you, wanted to, appoint a comp board, you could do that by resolution. Would, need to be put on the agenda ahead of time, right, and then taken up at a meeting. So I guess that's about it. If anybody has questions, you can ask now, or you can pin me down later, anytime. Try to answer questions the best I can.
Yeah, I read that email too, and it's kind of, you just gotta justify your actions, whether it's cost of living, based on other county positions, what the auditor's making in another county, it's just, it's all based on whether the board does it or whether the county board does it, they still have to justify their actions.
Whoever does it.
Has to justify their actions by providing that information.
So.
Just kind
At our treasurers conference, Lucas did speak in from, Isaac did come. He talks about all legislation that's involved with the treasurers, counties in general. And he had addressed this in that, it's been longstanding, they've been trying to get rid of the comp boards. So like Aaron said, kind of did, kind of didn't. And he had recommended, the comp board knows what they're doing. They know the I's they have to dot, the T's they have to cross. They've been doing it for a while. All the elected officials have representation. There's not gonna be a lot of questions. It is a lot for the board to take on in addition to what you're doing. And kind of, if the wheel's not broke, don't fix it. Just his opinion, the legislature just sounds like they had a lot of pressure to do it, and they had an opportunity to put it on the tax bill that was going through. He said historically, some counties, comp board throws out 12%. Across the board, everybody's getting 12%. And then they throw it back to the board of supervisors to adjust it. And if you weren't having problems with the comp board before, if they were doing a good job of considering all the things that were given them and weren't giving out-of-line recommendations, it just would be something that you wouldn't have to put on your plate if you didn't want to.
Lucas did send out a sample resolution too, if counties chose to do this.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with our comp board. I like having representation. Not that you would listen to us as well, but I know it's a process, and they're doing a fine job, in my opinion, in the counties.
To kind of speak what Mike had said, that's something that I always thought was important. I'd like the comp board to show their work. I'd like to see that data rather than just spit out a number. So I think that's a good thing.
And some counties stay, I know when we get done, we get up and leave and don't listen to the discussion, but some treasurers say they stay for the whole meeting. So I didn't know that was an option.
Anything else for the county attorney?
Ben?
Sorry, I didn't mean to move back prematurely. I just wanted to get out of the line of
Fire.
fire.
Sheriff update.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So the sheriff's office took possession of a new pickup yesterday. So that'll now be upfitted, but it'll be several weeks before it's out on the street, but we do have that one. And the old pickup is scheduled to get tore down beginning July 8th, so that probably will come available before the new one's out on the street. So I'll let you know when that's available, and then the board can decide what they'd like to do with that truck. K9 is aging, so that current K9 is probably going to be good through this summer and winter, and next spring's probably going to be in retirement. That's the plan right now. We'd like to continue to have a K9 program here at the sheriff's office, and I'll look at ways to fund that over the next several months if we stay on that time frame of the current K9 being done, next spring sometime. I don't have a better time frame for you than that. So just something to think about moving forward.
How old is aging for a canine?
Yeah, so a dog like that works 8 to 9.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at with him. So he's been a good dog.
How old are they when they start with you?
So we can get him as early as 18 months.
Okay.
This one we didn't. This one came to us at about 3 years. So yeah, we get, there again, it's like any deputy, I guess, if you get hurt doing something. But normal work span, 7, 8, 9 years out of them if you're lucky. Okay. But we get our money's worth on the cost of the dog and what it does in terms of, well, PR is a big thing. And so we'll continue with that. It'll be drug detection and then deputy security. Oftentimes Jack's out by himself. So it's good to have at least that dog there to try and help him in times of need. So we're going to try and continue to feasible. And then just on the comments that Shannon made, overall, I support the comp boards. I would like to see them continue. And, anytime you can involve people in county government, I think that's a good thing. So whatever that's worth, the decision you guys are gonna make moving forward, I'd like to see the comp boards remain. It doesn't affect the sheriff's office as much as it used to, because now our salary is really set by code in comparisons to other police chiefs and professionals at the DCI and state trooper ranks. But it's still good to have somebody to take your numbers to and essentially be a rep on my behalf and the other elected official behalf. So anyway, whatever that's worth, that's kind of my position on the comp boards. So that's all I have, unless you have something for me.
I forgot to mention last week about the jail inspection. I got that email, we got an excellent rating, so
Yeah.
I just want to pass that on. He was very impressed.
Yeah, Albert does a good job for us. That's credit to Greta and to Christie and everybody in that jail. That's probably the toughest job we've got over there. We deal with them for a period of time on the street, and then we hand them over to jail staff, and they're always upset and angry, and sometimes they're just out of sorts in many ways, and they have to take care of them. So credit to those guys, those gals, because they're the ones that make it go over there. Yep, but I'll let them know what that is. Okay.
How's the cooling system working?
Well, the other day was the ladies were in their coats, dispatch.
Oh,
So Dave came over, made some adjustment. So I don't think that's
and then
normal.
still got some bugs in it, yeah.
Yeah, I think there might be, there's still a bucket underneath one of the new installs, the AC units.
Is it still drifting?
I don't know that it's run enough to know. I mean,
Part of that was that it was not insulated as much as it should have been. So he
Okay.
came and he insulated it. And so I guess that's why I just wondered if it's still dripping or not. He didn't
Yeah.
address the problem.
I'd have thought maybe they'd taken the bucket away. But I'll watch closer. I'm not in there a lot, and it's days like today, maybe it won't run a lot.
Yeah.
So, but he set those wall cassettes, he set them at a steady 72 rather than up adjusting and down adjusting. And so they're set at 72. And there is also a secondary way to provide ventilation to the room. And that's working. I don't want to get into the weeds too far, but I mean, you should be able, that room should be able to be a refrigerator if you wanted it to be.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I think they just,
Yeah.
they're like, I mean, if they had an environment like this, they'd be comfortable. But
At one time, nothing against you, I don't mean this when I say this, but you said you didn't know if the 2 units were undersized. And I just want to make it clear that no, they're not undersized, they can cool, it's just, there was just something that needed to be fine tuned, so.
So maybe there's still a little fine tuning that needs to be done. I don't know yet. Dave would be a better one to ask about that. But I did see the bucket is still there this morning. But the temperature didn't seem to be too bad.
Everybody likes a different
I know.
temp zone.
Yeah, and you're cooling 2 different work areas. If it was just a single person in there, it'd probably be a little easier too. But you don't. You have 2, 3 people working in and out of the same area, and they all like it a little bit different.
The day I went over there, the one gal had a hooded sweatshirt on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like,
Yeah.
it must be working, so.
Okay.
Great.
Good thing.
I got you.
Yeah.
I have a couple of local contractors that have called me on the Kephart
Mhm.
property. And I they wanted to kind of survey it. And so I told them to wait after today to do it, because some of them didn't know if there was a basement under the house or if they'd have to bring fill in. And so I gave them permission to look into it after today. So if I mean, they're the locals, you'll know who they are. So I didn't give them permission really to go inside the fence. Did you put the fencing up? Mark,
Yeah, I did, yeah. Put snow fence and
Somebody
dust us inside.
Me too, I told them to go ahead and go in, that's. Look at it.
Yeah, I told them to stay away from the house and the barn.
Why?
But I just wanted you to know that.
Okay. I've been down there a couple times. The fence is one place down.
Yeah, I swayed them by stopped there Sunday and, I think somebody's been in there.
Yeah, I think so too.
So,
Rooting around, looking at stuff, or contractors, you think? Okay,
moving stuff out.
really?
Well, is he still doing that? That one contractor said he's probably gonna be doing that.
He was there when we put up the snow fence and we had a little disagreement on AM and PM. He thought he had till midnight, the 25th, and so we got it
Yeah,
resolved.
yeah.
I don't know. But, yeah, I guess.
We'll watch it, Todd.
I'll be showing the contractor there today, just so you know, so that my truck will be there and so they'll be. they'll be happy.
Sounds good. Okay.
Thanks.
Department head discussion.
I got a couple things. I sent an email to departments. Elizabeth Dyer with Gardner sent out some preliminary work to be done and then items that each department needs. So I forwarded those to the departments that have stuff. And then I had a question from the city of Carpenter. On the last bill that AJ turned in, he had, I think it was like $300 roughly worth of mowing at the lagoon. So I went back and looked at his proposal from last year and it states certain items in the $2,000. And then any work above and beyond is charged additionally. So then I went back and I found the 28E agreement, which was done in 2009. I believe anything that's been updated has only been the sewer rates. I could be wrong on that. But in here it says Mitchell County is responsible for mowing and snow removal at the lagoon site. So don't know your opinion, but I would think that $300 should be paid out from Mitchell County, not from the city of Carpenter then. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it states.
So the mowing question is, who in Mitchell County is? Who in Mitchell County will mow it? You know, do we hire somebody to mow it?
Well, the mower's Carpenter's, isn't it? Got tractor, mower.
The blue one, yeah.
If you want me to do it, I do it, I don't care. But there's $350, but it took them 2 hours, like $175 an hour. Just sounds high to me for a moment.
Yeah.
Well, the 28E says we are supposed to do it, that we're supposed to do it. I mean, so it's not that the city should pay, I mean, it's our responsibility. I guess I don't have a problem with that, I'm just wondering, looking forward, if we're supposed to do it, who is gonna do it, that's all I'm wondering.
I mean, if you want me to do it, I have no problem doing it with the city mower.
So that,
But it's not gonna be a bill like that.
But
We pay our lady $13 an hour to mow the city property. So, but
or okay with that, or what else you thought?
I'm okay with you mowing it, I mean, you know.
I know according to the last operator, you're not supposed to mow the whole thing, only the hillside. And AJ mowed everything up there. And I don't know if that's a DNR thing, you're not
Probably,
supposed to mow the flat part.
probably.
And when I questioned him why he'd done it with his skid loader mower, he said, well, it got out of control to where the tractor mower wouldn't mow anymore. But that's still his deal, because he was supposed to be in contact there.
A while back, you had talked about, it's been,
Selling them,
yeah,
that's what they,
you're gonna keep it.
right now, they haven't done anything with it, so.
I hate to see them start mowing it and then sell the mower and then we gotta go back to. But,
Then we'd be doing it with our Gravely lawn tractor. Zero turn. I mean, if you don't let it get out of control.
yeah. So you have a way of mowing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Even if they sell the tractor, we've got a spare zero turn mower that can
okay.
go out and do it.
If we don't have anybody in the county to do it, then I propose let you could do it. I mean,
I'm good with that. Where would they come out of the budget then?
That's the next question.
Okay,
I would guess the 99s.
we have a grounds building maintenance line
I
item.
can look and see in that for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's very little that has to come out, so that's fine, but,
When did it get mowed? Last fiscal year?
yes.
Can it be an accrual?
It would be an accrual, yes.
Okay. Right.
You probably just want to let him know, like, when the claims are due, is that when you want to?
So he gets, he turns in his bill at the very beginning of the month, or very end of the month, so we didn't get it in time to pay last fiscal year. But
I've got a few other things from department heads. Sure. One, Rachel, for the, just so I understand it, we have two public hearings that are gonna be coming up.
Yeah.
And one is gonna be for the budget amendment, the other one's for the loan financing.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mhm.
They were July 9th and the 16th are set the dates, but they are both of those public hearings will be on the same day, the 30th, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay,
And I would put the financing one before the budget amendment,
okay,
because you'd want that to be approved.
all right. And in the budget amendment, then the additional, the HVAC, I wanted to get that closed out last year, fiscal, didn't work.
Mhm.
Didn't plan accordingly enough for the new fiscal, so we'll include more money in this
Yep.
fiscal to get that thing closed out.
Yep.
Okay. If we don't use, we won't use as much money as what's gonna be transferred in the budget amendment. So would a future budget amendment take what we don't use out and put it back into the ARPA money then, or how would that?
My plan was to just put the remaining dollar balance in the budget amendment for the ARPA. Because
Okay.
it's, I believe it has to be committed by December of this fiscal year. And then it has to be expensed by December of 26.
26.
I want to say. So I figured if we put it in, I wasn't sure if there's any other thing that will come up this fiscal year, then at least the money's there and we don't have to do another.
Oh, so the balance of the ARPA is what you figured I just put in
Yeah,
there.
is what
Okay.
I would put in the amendment,
All right,
if that works for
and
everyone.
then we wouldn't, if we didn't expense all of it,
Then we just have to put it in, when we budget for next fiscal year, we can put in a dollar amount there too.
all right, I just didn't want to lose it for some reason by committing it to this one, we wouldn't use the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fine.
all right.
but we should hold off on the HVAC till everything's working properly.
Correct, yeah, it's not, that's kind of the issue is that I have a heck of a time getting the thing closed out, that's just saying it that way, and it's not because of the way the thing is functioning. The consulting engineer, we started with the engineering firm, we started with an engineer that helped design the system and was here for quite a bit of it. Then he left and went somewhere else. Then we had another engineer in that firm that took over. He has left and went somewhere else. The consulting firm was purchased by another consulting firm. Now, the main guy is there, and I've talked with him. I haven't heard back from him since the last meeting we had from him. So there's just some things that aren't getting done within that realm of the project. It's not necessarily the mechanics of the project, of the system. It's more of just the paperwork, I guess. Can't get the paperwork done. And I'm working on it. So that's why this went into this fiscal year and whatnot. Did we contact Fayette County in regards to the mental health advocate?
Yeah, I got an email from her yesterday. They had their meeting yesterday, and then she got back to me that we'll do a resolution next week.
Okay.
Get it done, but
Okay.
both people are on board with it.
Okay. We have that sample, not the sample, we have the resolution that was done before, and I'm sure it would need to be edited. As a template possibly, so.
Yep.
Okay. And then I received a comment from a citizen that lives on the River Road. They were very thankful for what the road department did to get that thing cleaned up. And so I guess I also want to thank the roads and conservation department for what everything you've done to get things fixed in the county for what the flooding event that we had. So and pass that along to your crew, would you please? I appreciate that. I had done cap art, but I guess I was just wondering who put the snow fence up, but thank you. I didn't know if it was roads, but thank you. That's all I had.
The other department head discussion? County engineer. Update.
Morning.
Good morning.
Few things. I'm gonna try to get the box culvert north of Stacyville closed out, so I've got the system of how the DOT wants final pay vouchers signed doesn't lend itself to be very efficient for us because contractor's supposed to sign it first, then me, then the board wet signs it. Well, when we put everything in electronic, we're all approving an electronic form before you guys sign it, and then you guys sign something, and then I've got to update the thing, and so we've already approved something that wasn't signed. So anyway, I'm gonna have you guys, if you guys will, wet sign the final pay voucher for BRS-swap-C 066 parent 82 /FF-66. That's for the box culvert north of Stacyville. The current payment would be for just retainage of $11,427.87. Now that's assuming that when the DOT comes through and does their final audit, they don't see anything with quantities, which I don't know that they will. There might be one little hiccup, which we can probably work through with the DOT on a lump sum item where the entire bridge wasn't removed. They left the back one on the north side so the crane could reach across the set thing. So we didn't pay the full amount for structural removal because it wasn't completely removed. Other than that, the awarded project amount was $398,346.30. And we have, I think if I read this right, we're under the project cost. I think the final total cost will be $380,928.95. So came in under budget, under their bid, just because of some items that took place out in the field. So if I could get a recommendation to approve the final pay for that, I can get that uploaded today and get this project closer to closing out.
Move to approve final pay voucher for BRS swap-C-66
Got a motion, is there a second? Motion second, any other discussion?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Sydney. Aye. Jim.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Now, last week I informed you guys that we had the bid lettings for the river, or not the river road, Lime Kiln Road, and then that small little, what I would call an overlay project on Orchard Road. The low bidder was Heartland Asphalt for both projects. I don't remember if I read these last week or not, but the engineer's estimate for Lime Kiln was $377,758. They came in with a bid of $335,681.61. And then the patch job or the thin little overlay on Orchard Road was estimated at $172,757 and came in at $125,878. So pretty quick jobs we've got coming up, but I'd recommend we award the contract to those, and Rachel, you got the resolutions correct? So, the resolutions will be to award the contract and allow the county engineer to sign in Doc Express for those.
What was that now on line count?
The bid on line kiln was 335, 681.60.
We have a motion to approve 1224-24 for the Orchard Road paving project.
I'll move to make that motion.
The motion is our second.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Roll call, Mark.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Sydney.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Motion passes. We have a motion to approve resolution 1225-24 for the Lime Kill Road paving project.
So moved.
The motion is our second.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Sydney.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Rachel, when you get those signed off.
Yep.
Not much else going on. We're still doing a little bit of touch up yet on some of the flooding. Getting our mowing done when we can and doing a little bit of a road regrade yet. So, plenty of things to pick up when the faucet gets shut off out there. So it starts drying up and get more done.
Which one are you regrading?
Oh, you had to ask. I
Oh,
think it's,
sorry.
if I remember right, it's Valley. So it's a short stretch of Valley north of,
It's okay. It's okay.
So
I can't remember.
All right.
like Chris Olson said, there'll be enough damage for the FEMA.
You know, I'm hoping so. I haven't heard anything yet. I think we gave him our numbers, the patch in St. Ansgar, we decided we would just remove because I'm a little nervous about, was a little nervous about trying to get full compaction back underneath the patch. And then while we're there, we can fix a few other ones that are there. So what was there before, I think, was, I think when the original lagoons were put in, there was, you know, they had to cut through the road. So there was a concrete patch section there, or maybe it had been flooded years before and it was patched back in. So there's a little bit of concrete and asphalt together. And then when we overlaid it, we overlaid all that. And then now there's concrete on asphalt. It's just a conglomeration of whatever. So there was enough of it undermined that we're gonna pull out additional panel. Right now, we just wanted to get the void removed, backfilled, and when we go back and patch it, we'll take additional panels out that we see fit to get a better ride through there. But really, that's
Overall in the county, there was enough to.
I think between conservation and secondary roads, there's probably enough there to.
I don't know the threshold, maybe about
48.
It was, yeah, 48,000. I think we've got half of that, probably just in the patch, so.
Okay, so I just.
But it just all depends on whether or not they'll include Mitchell County. I don't know that they included Mitchell County in the first.
With our amount, I don't know. Be the thickly little thing to begin with.
Yeah, so, I mean, I haven't heard anything whether or not, but
I thought that's what he said the threshold was. You get above that.
you can have a threshold, but I don't think we were in the immediate declaration. But maybe they'll look at it once we get our damages and they might add other ones later, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Chris takes care of that,
Yeah.
apparently.
When it comes to FEMA, yeah.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Approved fireworks permit. Excuse me, we have a fireworks permit for Taylor Campbell, carpenter, on July the 5th.
I make a motion to approve the fireworks permit for Taylor Granville.
The motion is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Sydney.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion passed. Appoint conservation board member. Two applications for opening at the conservation board.
I make a motion to approve Dean Betts for Conservation Board.
Have a motion, is there a second? I'll second that one. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Jim,
Nay.
Mike,
Aye.
Todd,
Nay.
Mark,
Aye.
Sydney.
Motion fails.
So a little discussion, conservation board member, or not board member, but conservation director, Lori King is eligible for a second term, correct?
Yep, she hasn't done 2 full terms.
Okay. So has she been adequate or good for what she's doing for the board, do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, she's a great board member type thing. It's kind of hard for me to say something
Yeah.
about one of my bosses.
Yeah,
I guess that's kind of
I get that.
odd question, but no, she's been a great board member and always at the board meetings and always involved and stuff like that. So.
All right.
But yeah, she's eligible again to be on again type thing.
She shows up for meetings, I guess
Yep.
I'll put it that way. She shows up for the meetings.
She's engaged, shows up for meetings, asks questions, does outside research on her own type thing too, goes to our wildlife areas, brings back questions or thoughts and things on those.
Okay. So that's a better way rather than just.
Correct, yeah.
Good or bad. Or okay, yes.
That'd be a better way to ask.
Yes, okay. All right. I'll move to approve Lori King for the conservation board member.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll say.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Sydney,
Aye.
Mike,
Nay, I guess.
Mark.
I don't want to go to the other one.
No.
Todd.
Motion passes. King is on for another term. Items of note, meetings attended.
I didn't have anything.
Oh, it's substance abuse commission board meeting. Talking about the tips training that they're gonna get set up, possibly July 25th, 26th, in the Osage Library from 3 to 8. And I had to talk to Aaron and Greg about the gentleman's agreement again, so did that. Central Isle Juvenile Detention Center meeting too. They're currently working on current events with the audit, contracts. There's some problems with employees. HR lawyer come in to figure that out, so that got resolved, so. About it.
I had nothing.
I had a fair board work night at the fairgrounds. Repair some fence, and bolt some canopies down. We'll probably start having work nights now until the fairs. That's it.
Manure management plan update.
ProNet Farms Incorporated, 4950 Primrose Avenue, Stacyville. Liberty West Finisher Farm, 4428 Quail Avenue, Little Cedar. Jenkins South Finisher Farm, 4437 Timber Avenue, Riceville. Liberty South Finisher Farm, 4401 Rampart Avenue, Stacyville. Liberty East Finisher Farm, 2809 440th Street, Little Cedar. Jenkins North Finisher Farm, 4475 Shadow Avenue, Riceville. Iowa Select Johnson Tip 6 Nursery Unit, 5060 Blast Avenue, St. Ansgar. Iowa Select Kiss Tip 13 Wing Finish, 3005 500 Street, McIntyre. Emery Unruh 2633 450th Street, Stacyville.
Very good. Public comments. Any public comment?
I just wanted to say something about the meeting I was at there, that they used a human resource employment attorney. And it's the same one that a lot of the counties use. And when I'm talking to people, they don't believe we don't have one. So then when you have problems with an employee, you just contact your attorney, they do all the legwork. And, you know, we've been in trouble a few times on different things. And like this one, it's they either contract by month or, you know, a flat rate per month, or it's just $300 flat fee when you need them. You just have them when you need them. Otherwise, you know, and I think we could have used one a few times in the past.
Who is where are they from, or?
They're Allers and Cooney.
Oh, okay, all right.
You know them?
Well, they're the bond council
And
groups of the county.
three, you know, there's probably 30 counties down there, and I bet 3/4 of them use them also, because they took they said, was this a conflict of interest if we're using them for juvenile detention, plus they're using them for a county, and they said, no, it's two separate boards, so just because you're a member of both doesn't matter, but I think that's an excellent idea.
Something to think about that.
Put on the agenda.
Yeah, so I don't know if we can put on the agenda for next week. I mean, you know what the troubles we've had with.
We might, I'm not opposing this so by saying this, but I know Dorsey and Whitney is also one of the ones in the state. They're the ones that we use for bond counsel, John Daniels.
We don't use them for employment issues. These are strictly.
Well, I don't know, but what I'm saying is that we might see what they have for service also, if it's comparable, but, I mean, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, because then, instead of us trying to figure out HR stuff, they're an HR lawyer, they know and she was right to the point on the problem that they were having. There's no argument that, a lawyer did it, there's this, and I don't want to get into details about it, but it went smooth. So just a suggestion that I think we should look into somebody for that.
And I think someone that specializes in employment law, that's
Yes.
gonna cover all of your HR stuff. I don't know what Daniels
Right.
offers, but I think the
Yes.
keywords are like employment law.
Yeah, and this is all they do, and they, like I said, out of the 30 counties that were there, that raised their hands, I was only one of just a few that did raise my hand. But every other county has somebody, I guess,
And another way to think of that, we use Dorsey and Whitney, but it might not hurt to use another firm so that we're kind of, we have our foot in the door with both firms as far as utilizing services from both of them. So that's another way to look at it also.
Yeah. It's just a suggestion, I think it would save problems. So.
Any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll adjourn at 9:22.